this was one of those weekends when everyone's like, oh, we'll just get through COVID because then all the sports will be happening at once. This was one of those weekends because we had all the sports kind of happening at once. So UFC, Conor McGregor, his career is probably, well, it's not over. As a legitimate fighter, it is definitely over.
They're already talking about the fourth installation of this rematch. So that's already tentatively been scheduled. But it does feel like it's over. He was getting his ass kicked in the first round. I don't think that Conor McGregor really feels pain because he stepped on his foot and it bent. It bent at a 90-degree angle. Awesome. And then he looks at it while he's on the ground and he just like calmly diagnoses himself with a tib-fib fracture. While he's on the ground, continuing to fight back, doesn't really wince in pain whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And then he has a presence of mind after that first round's over to just insist that they call it a doctor's stoppage.
Yeah, he was
not
pissed
a TKO.
about that. Yes.
I think he eventually got that. They got that
he
right
did. Because
he made it to the end of that first round. But I mean, he was so cool, calm, and collected as his foot basically fell off.
Afterwards he was the Rick James sketch in the Chappelle Show where he had no leg and he was saying how he was going to beat Dustin Poirier's ass. It's like, dude, you just had a fight with him.
It's the Monty Python. It's a flesh wound.
Right. Yeah. It's like, what are you talking about? You just lost the fight. I will keep buying Conor McGregor fights forever because he's electric. And part of whether you like it or not, guess what? Like the fight business, pay-per-views, it's about the characters behind him. It's about promoting the fight. It's about your mic work just as much as it is about like what's going on in the ring. So him as a legitimate fighter, that is over. He hasn't won. He's won one fight since 2016, and the guy he beat has lost or has not won a fight in his last 6 fights. Mm-hmm. So he's just not going to be able to fight at a high level. He had a great run, but it enough is enough in that respect. Like he's not a legitimate title contender.
I'm still going to watch all of his fights.
I'm still going to buy all his fights.
He was getting stretchered out of the ring and then telling the guy, like, your wife was in my DMs.
Which, that one hurt, though, because he said all week that he was going to make sure that Dustin Poirier left in a stretcher.
Yeah.
And then he left in a stretcher, and it's like, come on, dude. But back
to the world's cheapest ankle brace, by the way.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was basically like 2 pieces of cardboard.
Yeah.
It was a Capri Sun box. Do you think there'll ever be a day where we normalize like people liking to watch injury videos? Because I watched it so many times. I wanted to talk about how many times I watched it, but I knew that people, because you know the instant reaction when someone gets injured, like, stop showing the replay, don't show the replay. I want to see the replay as many times. I mean, I've professed this side of me many times that I like to watch the injuries, and it's gross and it's disgusting, but it's like fascinating.
I figured out that I can watch these injury videos, but what I really like to do is I like to go find somebody that hasn't seen it yet, and then watch that person's reaction.
Correct.
To the injury video. So I got to do that like 3 times and said I would bring somebody new into the room and be like, you got to watch this injury, and then I'd just watch their faces, and then I'd laugh. I'd be like, yeah, you saw what I just saw.
I love it. It's I mean, I don't know. I think something's a little bit wrong with me. You think so, Hank?
A little bit.
Do you think there'll ever be a time where people be like, yeah, you know what, you're right, like show the replay again?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm ahead of my time.
Yeah, it's like what Russillo was saying the other day. It's like, you say it now and then in 15 years, you're like, oh, there's no problem with that.
Yeah, like now, like half of every...
There will be an injury replay show.
Yeah, right.
You
like
should
they'll
have
a channel. Yeah.
The Red Zone channel.
I'd watch it.
The red is just blood.
By the way,
like an Instagram
shout out our guy, Scott Hansen, re-upping. Thank fucking God. So we don't have to listen to stupid... Oh, no, I just took one of Billy's Who's Back.
Billy's Who's Back.
Nice.
Well, we still have DirecTV, so there's...
No, fuck. Yeah. Damn it.
But there should absolutely be a Red Zone channel for injuries. Or just play like highlights. Two things the internet's killed. One is, really the main one that comes to mind is like watching football folly videos, like bloopers.
That's probably...
There are too many bloopers out there now.
The NFL used to just sell a video that was just CTE in a can.
Yeah.
It was like, look at these guys getting knocked out. This is crazy.
It was a blooper reel, and it was just players being concussed.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Scott Hansen, why he's the GOAT? I saw one of his tweets today, gave me chills down my spine. He said, in 9 Sundays from now, I'll be with you folks.
Mm-hmm. That's it?
Yep.
That's
I was like,
sick.
holy fuck.
That's awesome.
I want to kiss you on your lips, Scott Hansen, and I want to punch Siciliano. Well, no, what would I do to his balls? He's so short. I'd probably like... I would actually just trip into his balls, right?
Step over.
Yeah.
Just
I'd
step over while
his
he's standing
entire
up.
head, yes.
Yeah.
All right, back to the fights.
Yeah, UFC. I really enjoyed watching these fights, mostly because I feel like one of the things that America can do now, we can come together around very small. There's only like a handful of things that make everybody happy to do together. One of them is watching Greg Hardy get his ass kicked.
Correct.
And it was amazing. That dude is soft. Yes, he would probably murder me, but like he got caught. What?
UFC hardos in all over the place being like, try Greg Hardy on the streets. No, thank you.
I won't, but
absolutely not.
I will gladly watch other big people beat the fuck out of him.
He should be on every card being like, watch here, pay $50 at the bare minimum you're going to watch Greg Hardy lose.
Yes, give me have him fighting out of his weight class if that's even possible. Have me just like a guaranteed Greg Hardy gets knocked out event every single fight. I'm in 100%. Like, he is the world's biggest scumbag, and nothing gives me more pleasure than watching him get punched in the face.
And on top of all that, the guy who did it, Bam Bam from fucking Australia, who did a shoey after, what a legend. There's something about the heavyweight division when you get a guy who comes in and he's visibly kind of sucking in his gut, and he's an incredible athlete. He's about to just do damage in the octagon, but he still has that in the back of his mind, like fat kid, like, all right, there's cameras on me, like just, tighten it up a little bit, but you can see it. I instantly love those type of guys. He was electric. He was doing shoeys on the way out with the hot sauce, which was disgusting, but awesome. That guy, you couldn't have picked a better guy to beat Greg Hardy's face in.
Agreed. When I first started watching that fight, I was like, oh, I think I may have bet poorly on this, because he wasn't even sucking in that much.
Yeah.
He was just kind of out there like, yeah, I've got a couple rolls. I got a spare tire on either side. But yeah, it was just really cathartic to watch Greg Hardy get punched in the face. That should be a sport of its own.
Yeah, it never gets old. And
he should do it if Greg Hardy had an OnlyFans, but every video like you could pay $5, like punch him once in the face.
Yeah,
I think he'd become a millionaire that way.
I had a question coming out of these fights. So, is Conor McGregor a sore loser? That's what people are saying. Like, hey, he mentions Dustin Poirier's wife. Dustin Poirier, to his credit, I love when guys after a fight, the bad blood doesn't stop. That's when you know it's real. He's like, fuck this guy. I fucking hate this guy. But is Conor McGregor a bad sport, or is he just the greatest heel who's just keeps selling fights? I tend to lean latter, but I did see like the sentiment that, hey, you're laying on the ground, you just lost, you broke your ankle, and you're talking about this guy's wife.
He's not a bad sport. He's just Conor McGregor.
Right.
That's just what he is. And yes, Conor McGregor is a bad sport, but he's just being Conor McGregor. Like, that's his personality. And the reason why people watch the fights and the reason people get excited to tune in and watch him talk shit in a press conference is because he's Conor McGregor. And he does have that, like, I'm a heel personality. So I think it's too on brand for him to be like, oh, you're a sore loser. Yeah, no shit. He's Conor.
Well, and I people sometimes get confused with the fight game, because I did see also Dustin Poirier after is like, listen, I like to fight. I don't like all the other bullshit. Well, unfortunately, all the other bullshit gets people to watch.
Yeah, it gets you paid.
Like Conor McGregor, you might say, oh, asshole, scumbag, all these things. Guess what he does do as well? He fucking breaks pay-per-view records all the time. That's why we're sitting here right now saying, hey, he's not a title fighter anymore, but I'm still going to buy every single one of his pay-per-views. Just like Tyson at the end, who they were giving him good opponents, but Tyson was the same, where it was like, he sucks now, but guess what? He's still Mike Tyson, and one punch could do it all. Like, that's...
Yeah, you might not like the entire package that goes into it, but you have to... So, like, for us, the reason why we're able to get paid to do the show is because we have Glenny Balls churn out burger reviews.
Correct.
Putting the lights on, putting money in our pocket.
The coal in the engine,
furnace,
or whatever,
yeah,
the furnace,
exactly, so that we get to look good doing this podcast.
That's true.
So yeah, it's part of the fight game. You have to have somebody that's willing to stir the pot like that. And it was very funny listening to the interview with Conor McGregor while he was on the floor of the octagon right afterwards. I don't think I understood more than 2 words that he said.
Yeah,
Conor McGregor, I don't think speaks. Is it Irish? He doesn't speak.
It's Irish.
He doesn't speak Irish.
He's Irish. I don't know if you saw.
He just makes up words.
He's got the Irish flag.
He just makes up words as he goes along. I don't think that's an actual language. It's like a language he invented.
He also, it just shows how tough UFC guys are, because his ear was bleeding. Maybe brain, ear, maybe just cauliflower ear popping. And that's like a total secondary afterthought injury. Like, nah, he's fine.
Yeah.
His ear's bleeding. Let's worry about his leg. last thing I had about the fights, I actually wanted to ask because, I'll admit it, I'm a UFC casual. Like, I buy, I don't know, probably like 8 to 10 pay-per-views a year. They are on like every single weekend. Do people like Daniel Cormier? That's my question, because I love it.
Yeah.
I think he's awesome.
He's the best.
But I don't know what the
entire broadcast crew is perfect.
Joe Rogan sitting down next to Conor was fantastic. But I love Daniel Cormier is one of those broadcasters where I feel like I'm learning something. Like there was that moment, I can't remember which fight it was, but it looked like someone was about to get choked out, and Cormier was like, "No, he's good. Look at where his like arm is." And then 2 seconds later, he was good.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Holy shit! How do you know that?"
I'm always amazed
because he's a fighter, but he's awesome.
Right? He'll be watching two guys just wrestle on the ground, and he'll instantly be like, "Okay, he needs to put his right shoulder here at this time, and then he can get out with a reversal."
Right.
Which is something like, unless you've done it for years and years and years, like I don't. It doesn't even comprehend how you're able to just look at two guys and like mentally untangle them in your brain from afar.
Right. And we obviously do knock broadcasters from time to time, Andrew Siciliano, but so when they do well, I want to say, hey, I love that guy.
John Anik crushes it too.
John Anik,
best
friend
in
of the program. Yes. So I think it's a great booth. It's a great night. I love watching big fight nights. Like that's the other thing. The last thing with Conor McGregor. Whether you like him, hate him, whatever you want to feel about him, he brings the big fight vibe where you just know it when you feel it. When you buy the pay-per-view, when you sit down, when the main event starts, and you are so locked in, it's 1 a.m, chills down your spine. There's something that you can't replicate, whether it be boxing or MMA, on a big fight night. There's no other thing in sports like it, and Conor McGregor does that.
Mm-hmm.
He does.
Asses in seats.
He does. He really does. So it was great. It was just fun to watch a full card.